I want to welcome everybody to our HEM webinar titled Next Gen Lead Gen for Schools, Digital Marketing Strategies for 2023. It's great to have you here. Thanks for taking this time aside. I want to tell you about your host here, and that's us. That's Higher Education Marketing. If you're not familiar with HEM, we're a full-service digital marketing agency and provide digital marketing services for schools. We focus only on serving the education sector. And we serve schools of all levels, all types, all sizes. So college, community college, university, K-12 language school, career college, and we serve schools worldwide and in multiple languages. We focus on that education market niche and provide everything you need to convert more students through online marketing. So in addition to the digital marketing services, we have a CRM that's built for education and custom built for every organization we create it for. We have a student application portal. We provide consulting, an academy where you can learn more. Your team can really brush up on your digital marketing skills, really everything in that digital realm. We're happy to be here with you. A little bit of housekeeping to touch on while we're here in the GoToMeeting webinar. We're going to have your mics on mute. That allows us to cover a whole lot more territory in terms of presenting for you. Though I know questions will come up, I sure hope so. And if they do, when they do, please go to your little sidebar menu for GoToWebinar and find the questions box, type it in. Type in your question at any time. So type it in during the webinar. And then what I'll do is I'll go into the question box at the end and answer your questions if time permits. I want to make sure you know the session is being recorded and you will receive that recording as well as the slide deck. You'll receive that via email in 1 to 2 to 3 days. So you'll be getting that as we conclude here. Today's presentation focuses, as we've discussed, it's really focusing on lead generation, and it's important to talk first about, kind of the state of digital marketing today. What's new, what's current, and how it's important to be setting and tracking multiple touch points across those. Then we're going to go kind of categorically through the tactics in digital marketing toward lead gen, and we're going to begin with online ads and what's evolved in that category. SEO and looking at the new options for greater visibility and engagement. Social search, which is this upcoming really current trend of using social media as a search engine and utilizing that for SEO as well. And then more effective lead gen than you might think. We're going to go back to an old friend, email. And instead of saving reporting for the end, we're going to kind of weave it throughout the webinar to show it in the context of each of these categories. So let's begin with the state of digital marketing today, and in a very simplified way. Think of it this way. In the past, conversions came mostly from separate channels, and we would measure email, and then we would measure separately social media, and then we would measure separately SEO, and then we would measure separately search ads. Today, we see each of those playing a part in a single conversion. So we're looking at multiple channels, multiple touch points, and I know that's been a reality for a while, but it's important that we dig down into that concept. So we're going to break that down first. And before we do, as we always do in our HEM webinars, we're going to ask you, I want to get your thoughts based on your school's experience. How many touch points do you see before a potential student converts to enrollment? And so converts means, in this case, I want it to mean that they actually sign up for enrollment. They actually fill out the registration and enroll. So how many touch points do you see? And they may be digital, they may be in person, but I want to see your numbers as you kind of consider that there. Letting the votes come in. The votes are rolling in quickly. Thank you for your participation. Okay, let's take a look at those numbers and see what you've said. So most of you are saying the high end, with a majority of you on 3 to 4. So that's interesting. And then the rest of you kind of 5 or more, and some of you not sure. So you're not necessarily tracking. So it's very interesting to know, and thank you for sharing it. It also helps each other, right, to see what other schools are experiencing and other educational organizations. Do you remember the good old days where you'd take an action online, it would engage the user, and then they would enroll or purchase or convert? Times have changed, right? So we know, of course, they're going to see an ad, they're going to look you up on YouTube, they're going to do another search, they might fill out a form, but just a brief one, so you can send them an email, you can re-engage them, and it may be 5, as we say, more touches before they come to the point. And now I want to redefine what I'm going to define as conversion from this point on. So conversion in the regards of digital marketing is really someone filling out a form on your website or anywhere online so that you're receiving their contact information as an interested prospective student. So that's what we're going to define for digital marketing purposes in this webinar from this point forward, what a conversion is. They see the form, they fill it out, click submit, provide their contact information. So there's a lot of ways that we can do that, we can generate that, and it's important to understand the many channels that are involved here, right? So we'll define these, and you can go back to these when you receive the deck, but you've got paid and organic search, so ads on search, or basically just kind of coming to you via your search results, not concluding the ads. Direct, basically meaning they have typed in your URL directly, maybe they have it bookmarked, so they're a familiar return visitor. Then you've got paid social and organic social, again, ads on social media, and then coming to you organically, sometimes just through your feed. What we're really referring to in this case, though, is cross-network, and that's where users engage with you across multiple channels, networks, sources, platforms, before converting. They're coming in lots of different ways. As you may know, HEM is based in Canada, and in Canada, everything kind of simplifies down to hockey. So we want to communicate to you a marketing lesson we've learned from hockey. And here it is the lesson of the assist, right? You've got the player number 1 on the right who looks like they are on the fast break and they're going to score that goal, but at the last moment, they pass it off to player number 2 on the left. Player number 2 gets credit for the goal, for the conversion. They're the hero. But none of this would have happened without player number 1 taking it on the fast break, crossing the blue line, and then making that crafty pass at the end. So think the assist in sports, in hockey, when you think of that cross-channel conversion. Google Analytics 4 provides us a few different ways that we can track or attribute that credit for a goal or a conversion. These are attribution models. And what you can do is you can take one set of data, so a month's data, data for a semester, wherever your conversions are coming from, and you can plug it into these different conversion attribution models to understand new insights about your data. You can see they're basically described pictorially here in these little pictographs, where last click attribution is going to be a data report that even if they've touched many different touch points before converting, it's going to provide all the credit to the very last click before their conversion, what led them to the form, filling out the form, click submit. First click does the exact opposite. It attributes all the credit to the very first thing that brought them to you. Linear shares the attribution credit across every one of those points that they might have touched: search, social, email. And then position-based provides 40% of the credit at the very beginning, 40% of the credit for the last click, and then shares the credit a little lower, to a lower degree, for the middle clicks. Time decay allows you to see, basically attributes more and more credit as we get closer to the conversion itself. And then data-driven is where Google gets into its algorithms and understandings of what's performing best and most effectively within your organization and also in the world. And they basically assign credit based on what they think was the most influential element of that. So if you take the same bit of data and look at it through last click, first click, data attribution, it really helps you to kind of understand what's working for you. What insights can we take from this? And what is this telling us? And I want to give you just a little bit of a glimpse of that without getting too deep. This is first click conversion path, where 100% of the attribution goes to the first thing they clicked on. They might have clicked multiple times. There are other emails, there are referral clicks, but organic search gets that top one there at the beginning. And they may have done organic search many, many times. They may have done paid and then organic many times, but then in that last one, paid gets the full attribution. Typically, in first click, paid and organic deliver those first click attributions. When you're looking at data-driven attributions, I've highlighted a couple here. You can see there are lots of different clicks involved here. You know, more than 5. We see regularly, and it's hard to put a number on this, but 12 or more clicks or touch points involved before a conversion these days. It's very common to see 12 or more clicks, and as you can see, that's the case here. And you know, Google is using its algorithm to assign what it thinks was most, you know, converting in terms of the touch point, the specific touch point that gets the credit for that conversion. And another very interesting way to look at this is to look at the conversion paths report in Google Analytics 4. What we're seeing here is early touch points versus mid touch points versus late touch points. And it's very interesting to see how organic plays such an important role and is much more a factor in the early touch points. But then cost per click or search engine ads are much more effective as a late touch point conversion aspect. So this is also available in your GA4, your conversions path report. And I recommend you take a look at that to understand kind of what's delivering for us, what's most effective. Okay, so it's time now to go into our individual tactics. We'll begin with online ads for lead generation. There's a spoiler alert, Google search remains #1 for student recruitment. That's in really in our experience in the education sector, that's always been and it remains. But next gen, you know, what we're seeing really evolving in the past year and a half or a little more is that social media ads are becoming way more effective here. We'll show you how. There's also a bit of a secret to success. We'll get to that in a minute. But first, we have another poll for you. Love to know, on which platform do you typically advertise when it comes to lead generation student recruitment? So when your ad objective is really solely to get the contact information of prospective students, do you go to search like Google or Bing? Do you go to social, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or do you go other places when you're advertising for lead generation? I'm interested to know how that plays out for you guys. So we're going to let the results come in another little bit. Thank you for voting. Thank you for joining us. Okay, let's take a look at those results now. And mine come in on a very small screen, so I lean in. Aha, so a vast majority of you are doing lead gen in social. Very interesting. So that's way in line with the trends we've seen. So we find that that's actually quite, you know, refreshing. That what's really come into the next gen element here is now currently your go-to. And what we'll talk about is what you get for that regard. So let's kind of pull back a little bit. As we're defining lead generation, we're thinking top of funnel. We're thinking, how do I get people in my system, collect their information, their contact information, so that we can reach back to them and convince them that our schools is the one for them. It needs to be just considered a lead magnet. You want to make it easy for them to engage. And the two ways you want to try to do that is to provide a low impact form So a form that they fill out that asks just a few questions, maybe the fewest you possibly could ask, because the more questions you ask, the less likely they are to fill it out. And also, you want to try to offer as high a value offering as you might have in hand already, or if you need to create one, do so. These are just a few examples, and you might have some examples to share as well. As we were saying, Google search remains the #1 method in terms of it's just most effective for lead generation and student recruitment for schools. Why? Because first of all, it puts you in front of an audience that is already actively searching. They are in the mindset of looking for basically what you have to offer. The second element that we find really important to engage here is by making your ads program focused. So if it's a business program, you have one business ad. You have a separate ad for your economics program. You have a separate ad for your nursing program, et cetera, because this is going to put more specific information and more relevant information in front of that person who's searching. And the third part of really getting the most and making search ads most effective for you is utilizing a dedicated standalone landing page. This is not just another page on your website. It is a separate page. The only way any traffic can get to this page is by clicking on the ad. That helps make it more granularly trackable. And also this page is as program focused as the ad was. You have multiple landing pages, one for each program focused ad. And also there's no menu bar, there are no hyperlinks on this ad, on this landing page, because we want to simply provide them information about that program that they searched for and then invite them to engage. And that's the form front and center on the right, so that you can basically have them convert, fill out the form, provide their contact info, and you've done your lead generation duty at that point. So that's, yes, traditional, but really I want to make sure you're taking it to this degree of granularity to really make the most out of your ads. When we're going into, what we've seen change in terms of next generation lead gen is social media ads for lead generation. And while a majority of you said this is where you're going for lead gen, in many cases, a majority of you go there because of numbers. You get more leads. In the past, and not too distant past, social ads were great for generating leads, but their lead quality was poor. And it remains, that remains a standard, that you'll get more leads through social ads, but they won't be of as high a quality. And this really kind of happened during COVID and after COVID, as the e-marketplace and education really evolved and went through some real growing steps. Social media realized that was the case, that lots of people were filling out forms, but there was low quality. And then they saw an adjustment of people just not even filling out the forms, because back, just 3 years ago or so, people were still using landing pages for social media ads. And what we saw at HEM is that as soon as you take someone out of the social platform, they drop off. They're in that social platform for a reason. They've made that choice. And your ad was a bit of an intrusion, but hey, I'm interested. When they click on it, if you take them away from their platform, they're out. They're not happy with that removal from Instagram, from TikTok, wherever. Instead, social has begun to provide these lead forms, these instant forms, which became the go-to, right? And really turned social into a lead gen operator for you, because it basically turns the ad into the form. It pre-feeds the form. So if your contact information or name and whatever it might be is already saved in the social platform, it's going to auto feed and just basically fill these pieces already, these data fields. All you have to do is click next or submit and you're in. They're also customizable, so they really can be used to do anything you want in terms of asking specific questions of those leads. And that's turned first of all, the volume back up in terms of the number of leads in social, and it's also turned the quality of social leads back up, and maybe higher than it's ever been. So that's definitely next gen operation in motion, and that continues to evolve. One thing that hasn't evolved really in a long time is an old school secret to success, and it remains integrally important, and that is follow-up. You can't just rely on an automated drip feed of emails to be your registration or enrollment tool. You need to have, and automation's good, but you need to have this workflow type, and what you see here is a follow-up workflow for a high-level lead. It's critical for your enrollment rate. So we're talking beyond just conversion and collecting the data. Now we're talking about getting this person into your classroom. Having a workflow like this, and this is an aggressive one, do one that your resources can support, but you want to reach out via multiple ways. That's email, SMS, phone, in person, and automated to help to make that happen for you. The other element in terms of reporting on your ads, it's the difference of the data that you're looking at. In the top 3 campaigns, we're looking at Google ads. So the main metrics we're looking at is number of conversions, cost per conversion, and conversion rate. So number of conversions is nice and strong. You can see that it adjusts along with the cost per conversion. And so while we're on a single platform, that's going to be attributed to the topic of the course. So cybersecurity is delivering a lot of leads at a lower cost per lead, while digital marketing is providing fewer leads at a higher cost per lead. So it's just a more competitive marketplace for digital marketing in this case during this month or this period of time. And you can see the conversion rates adjust as well. When it comes to Facebook, notice first of all, in meta ads, and it says Facebook, but these could be shared, Facebook, Instagram, we're spending a lot less per period of time. We're getting fewer clicks, but we're getting such a greater audience, impressions. The number of people seeing your ad is massive. So the click-through rate is going to be a lot smaller for the reasons we've talked about, right? Your ad is an intrusion. You might or might not get their interest. Now, the number of conversions is quite high, so that makes the cost per conversion a lot lower. Look at the conversion rate, it's through the roof, right? So when you look at ads and compare ads, you want to look at all of these specific metrics, understand a social ad versus a Google ad and how those metrics will be different. But then you want to look at your conversions and understand which of them were higher quality leads. So that's an important measure to understand that's behind all of these metrics. Okay, we're going to shift now to SEO and its next generation. First, what remains is that keyword research and placement in your content on your website, along with the metadata, remains key. That's still super important and effective for you. New elements like people also ask, search engine result page, rich results are now driving users' attention to the top of the screen. And the way that you position your content in your website in content clusters can really work miracles to make your site easier to find. Taking a step back, SEO is just so fundamentally important because it provides answers to what people are looking for. It takes the ads out of the equation, which means they're more authentically going to choose you, not just because of what you're promising in your ad. This creates an opportunity for you to reach those prospects among different stages. So it may be at the early, mid, or later stages. SEO remains a really important player here. Because they're coming to you typically because of content you have on your website. And that's what's ranking you higher in the search results and having them click to read that article or learn more about how you offer what you offer because it matches what they're searching for. Because they're going to read content on your page, that develops an element of trust in your case. They trust you more, you've built more credibility. So it's that organic relationship that really plays an important role here. What's begun to play kind of a new role is the many, many rich results that are now available in terms of organic results and placing on a page. So in addition to just having your blog or your article or your program page come up as a result, you're seeing so many other options that can be basically created into the web page so that you can be seen organically in more ways than one. So these rich results, like the featured snippet and people also ask, these you've seen commonly in searches, and these are really becoming the next gen player in terms of SEO. These featured snippets and people also ask, these higher placements, they're built intentionally. They can be marked up in many ways based on a language called schema. It's basically a universal vocabulary used in tagging pages. It's understood by every search engine, and it intentionally places your ad in a place where it can be one of the, or many of the, people also ask. So that's really the one of these rich results that we have seen drive more and more organic traffic, meaningful organic traffic to your page. There may be some rich results already either linked or really ripe for your page, really potential rich results. So you can go to this link when you receive the deck and drop in your URL to see if you have rich results really within close reach that you can code in. And then you'd want to basically, again, go to the point of adding that schema, adding that coding that's going to make your page visible in the rich results. And the other element of SEO that really comes into play here is called content clusters. And it is building your web pages in such a way that you've got a core collection of pillar pages, and that might be a program page or a page that addresses a core topic that you have particular expertise in. And then to build a series of related subtopic pages around it that link from the pillar page and also link among each other. They're designed to position your website as an authority with many pages based on a single topic. And you want to build them and include those internal links that are going to be really kind of keeping this is very much the user experience element in addition to the magnifying glass of being visible at Google. Because once one user comes into one of these pages, they're likely to click on a link and go to other pages, other related pages. This is a really simplified example of the core page of how to play ukulele, and then the subtopic pages with really likely articles that someone will want to click on to read, and then click from ukulele songs for kids from there to go over to easy songs for beginners, to strumming patterns. You know, it's very likely that they might cruise to across each of these 5 pages. Now notice that the pillar page has the majority or holds the highest number of searches monthly. But if you count and accumulate each of the 4 in the subtopic and bring them all together, that's more monthly searches than the pillar page itself. So you're, again, really putting yourself as a magnifying glass as your school on that key topic. When it comes to reporting for SEO and organic lead generation, you want to first of all look at your organic search and you want to compare it in one time period versus another. And in the more recent time period, are you growing? In this case, we're growing 20%, 21% in new users, 10% in overall sessions. So that's an important element, is to see growth from period to period. You also want to see event count overall. So events are those clicks in your website that are important to you. And in this case, we've identified a specific register now click. So notice how not only has our organic traffic jumped period over period, so has our clicks on register now. And that may be a placement of that call to action on one of those either pillar pages or subtopic pages. And also you see all conversions overall. So the types of clicks that would be indicative of a really interested prospective student, that's increasing as well. So these are the data points you really want to look at to see if your efforts at SEO and content clusters specifically are working. And when it comes to seeing if your rich results are engaging as well, go to your Google Search Console and you can see the examples of the under item name. Those are the questions asked. So basically the people also ask element. These are the questions, and you can see we did this on May 18th and it had shown recent clicks and traffic coming from these specific links. So your Google Search Console is an important one in that regard. I want to ask you how involved you guys have been in using content clusters or SERP features like people also ask to boost your SEO. So here's our last poll for the day. You can vote. Again, thank you all for being here, and we want to know if you're using content clusters. Please click on yes, no, or not sure, and also regarding if you're using things like people also ask. The votes are flying in. Thank you guys have been, this is a good time to remind you, you will get a recording of this webinar, and you'll also get the deck, the slide deck, in your email in the next few days. So wanted to make sure you got that. Let's go ahead and look at the results. And I look at my little screen. Yeah, so this is the one kind of element that you're not sure. I totally get it. Some of you are definitely engaging in this, which is awesome. But it's a good thing to go back to look for these kind of added opportunities, because this is how we search and how we look and uncover answers. In every other search that we do, consider that the folks looking for your school are doing the same. So, okay, so let's go into social as a search engine. While Google is still #1 as the place to search, people are starting to use social platforms like Instagram, TikTok as their search engines. So social SEO is required to be found in these types of searches. Now, this graph shows that 16 to 24-year-olds are already using social as a search engine more than they are using Google or Bing or whatever the other engines might be. It's really close for 25 to 34-year-olds, almost as many with social media as there are with search. And you can see it coming that these will just continually gain in terms of social becoming a search engine. So how does this play out? It's basically people going in to Instagram, for example, and clicking on the search bar and basically conducting their search there. They live on social, so why would they go to Google or some other platform to ask their question when their question can just as easily be answered here? And in some cases, in their eyes, what they see on social is going to be a little more genuine, maybe a little more authentic than what they see on the search, because it's not necessarily going to bring up ads in social search at this point. So the 16 to 24-year-olds are certainly leading the way in this as an action. And what you want to do is find your keywords, and what's ranking for Google is really going to be the same here, essentially. And find your keyword placement and add them to your captions at the top in the blue. So experience of being an international student. This is where you want to use your keyword optimized words, because that's what's going to show you as results in the placement of that search. So hashtags are still helpful for sure, but you can see that the keyword optimized captions increase reach by 30%, double engagement. So that's really super strong. And this is where you want to be visible. It's in those captions. In terms of reporting here, go to your Google Analytics, go to your acquisition and source medium report, and you want to look for your Facebook referrals. So you've got the middle one, which is Facebook paid ad campaign or cost per click. So that one is an ad campaign. We're talking organic SEO in social, and it's your referrals that are showing, first of all, users, engaged sessions, and then again, it's important to go to the far right of all of your data and look at the events. So again, the events are the clicks on your website that are defined as your most indicative of a truly interested prospective student. And that's where you want to see if your social search is really paying off there. So we're going to end with email, which is, again, a kind of a standard partner, always been there, and I sure hope you're bringing it back, because email generates higher conversion rates and generates higher return on investment, basically because it costs so much less to be engaged here, to do this. It just takes your time. And I'm going to give you a couple of quick examples of how you want to put email to work for you in lead generation. And that is in the consideration stage. Send an email. First of all, it's well designed. It's nice and visually deliverable. You're addressing your audience's motivations, questions, concerns, and pain points in the content you're writing here. You want to keep your messages brief and worthwhile. This one especially does really well at providing multiple calls to action. Again, you might get them at an early stage with something like, here's some helpful resources, click here. Or you might get them at a consideration stage, book a meeting or schedule a chat with a member of our team. Or you might get them at the decision stage, apply now. So keep in mind creating your emails, each of which to provide multiple calls to action. Now at the later stages, you may want to focus on a single call to action, start your application. So it's very important to go, basically to help lead them. And in this case, this might be the fourth or fifth of a drip campaign. The first one was about your campus, the second one about your class experience, the third one about your instructor. Now we've gotten to the point of, hey, want to start your application? So you want to push them forward using your email along that journey from inquiry to enrollment. And when it comes to measuring the effectiveness, this is where it's kind of not surprising, but sometimes it's surprising at how effective email is at re-engaging those who have filled out that form initially, provided their contact info, and you want to go again to the events or goal completions where the goal conversion rate is super high in email versus really any other platform that you can do. So our core takeaways, we're just about at our end of time here. Cross-channel, multi-touch point conversions are more than ever a reality, and it's the way to go. It's the way to really understand that you're going to be able to draw them in without just one siloed approach. Social media ads are evolving in lead gen. Social search is eclipsing search engines. Email follow-up remains key. It's at this time that we always offer our free digital assessment. So if there's any one of these channels or all of these channels that you want us to give you our thoughts and insights on, we'll provide you our recommendations of where and how you can optimize your efforts. Please reach out. Philippe and I are available to, we'd love to get your email and or call and have a chat about what you're doing and what you want to get more out of in terms of your digital marketing. So I'm now going to bring out the questions. So please type in your questions because I'm interested to be able to try to answer them here. Aha, the ever-present ChatGPT question comes up. Besides social and search, do you have any insight into the new ChatGPT, or Bing for that matter, as a disruptor for search? So the things about ChatGPT, we have not yet seen it become the alternative to search or social. It has not proven itself to be as, I guess the word is timely. And I don't mean to say that in a bad way, but your programs and your offerings, some may be relatively timeless, but there's always evolution, there's always change at your school. And ChatGPT is more of a historical gathering of a great deal of knowledge, whereas immediate search is going to be more timely updated in terms of your costs, your start date, that type of thing is going to be, again, better deliverable via social and search. And people aren't going to ChatGPT for that kind of a question quite yet. Now, that's to be considered in that Bing with AI and Google also has ad campaigns that really utilize AI a great deal in Performance Max and Google 360, where there are different evolutionary elements and types of ads within those two platforms that utilize AI. So it's built into some of the ad offerings you can do and provide, but it's not being seen yet as an option to search and social. Great question. More questions coming in. Bring them on. So I have one here, the question being, if I could choose one or the other, which one should I do for lead generation? And one or the other being, one of the other being social or search. And really what we would encourage you to do is go to your Google Analytics first. That's going to help you understand where you're currently strongest, where you're getting the most traffic from. Is it from your ad efforts, or is it from organic search? Is it from email? And what we would recommend, if you could really focus on one, is stick with your highest performing method of lead generation. And kind of double down on that as opposed to fanning out, because you know it's most effective. So if you're going to allocate time or money, go to what's working initially. And it's basically those enrollments that can increase the funding to be able to allow you to branch out. So if you were to have to choose, go from there. Have another question here. Where can we find sources of where traffic comes from, again, in GA4? Okay. So you want to go to your acquisition reports and then to the source medium report. Basically, you're going to filter traffic by source medium in the acquisition report. So if you have questions about GA4, and I'll end on this topic, starting July 1st, Google is switching from its existing Universal Analytics, UA, and it's switching on July 1st to a new platform that the two platforms are not going to speak the same, basically measure the exact same data. So you're not going to be able to look at your historical data as it applies to your new data. So it's important that you make the switch if you haven't already. Philippe and I can help guide you through that as well. If you want to reach out to us to learn more, we can do that switch for you, or we can help your team make that switch happen. We're doing that quite busily now with many schools. So if you're not quite yet signed up for GA4 and setup, please let us know. I'm going to wrap it up with that. Thank you very much for your time. Hope you have a great rest of the afternoon, and we appreciate you spending some time with us. Have a great day.